Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a great Monday and welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. And if you're interested in anything outdoors, adventure related, or landscape photography, consider hitting that subscribe button. So in this week's video, I want to talk about the steps I take to plan for a landscape photography shoot. And really this idea came about as I've been planning for a shoot this upcoming week. And hopefully by the time this video comes out, I'll actually be out there tonight taking this picture. And as I was kind of planning for that shoot, I began to realize kind of 6 steps that I take when I usually plan for my shoots, and how I could kind of break those 6 steps into 3 different categories. And I think that this kind of format or framework for planning for a shoot could be really helpful, so I thought I would share this idea with you. So as I kind of walk through this framework, I want to talk about it in context with the shoot that I'm planning next week. So the first category in this framework that I've kind of created is what I want to call kind of conceptual planning, or conceptualizing your image. And the first kind of piece of that category I'm going to call what. And that is literally, what are you taking on it? What do you want to take a picture of? Your main subject of that image. In my case, it's going to be the Christmas star. And the Christmas star is the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn in the night sky. And this year's quite special in relationship to the Christmas star because it's going to be the closest alignment of the 2 planets in the last 800 years. And that's pretty spectacular. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get a clear night and we'll be able to see it in the night sky. So once you kind of have this main subject, your what, you want to think about, what else do I want in my image? Or do I just want it to be that main subject? So in my case, I think I'm going to want a little bit more than just that Christmas star. Maybe some foreground elements, some supporting features that can really bring the image together and make it more than just a picture of the night sky. So kind of what I've landed on, as I'll be visiting family over the holiday season, I'm going to try to stay fairly local. There's a lake near Greenville, South Carolina called Lake Jocassee, and I think I'll be able to take this shot with Lake Jocassee in the foreground, some hills and mountains in the surrounding scenery, and then the Christmas star in the night sky. So now that I've conceptualized that image, that might not be exactly what I end up with, but at least I can kind of picture in my head what's happening there and really what is the image I'm going to be taking. And the next part of this conceptual category is why. Why are you taking this image? And this is a really important one and might be the most important part of this planning. I'm sure oftentimes you hear people talk about telling stories with images and having people connect with their images. And it oftentimes sounds a little fluffy, not very constructive, and really not that helpful in my opinion. But oftentimes those people saying that stuff, they are really right. You really do need to be able to tell a story with your image and have people connect with your image. If your image doesn't have a story, it doesn't have something more meaningful than just a picture of something, people won't really connect with it. And without that connection, your image won't be as successful, it won't be as impactful. So in my case, I think with this Christmas star, I want it to really represent time and kind of fleeting moments in life. And I think this is this Christmas star is a great subject to do that because, like I said, this is the closest alignment in the past 800 years. That means there are generations on generations on generations that haven't seen something like this. And it's going to be there for one night for a matter of minutes. And that's really special. And it just shows how fleeting these moments are and how time passes by. And I think that couldn't be more applicable to the year that we've had, really. Last March, last February, the world seemed to kind of shut down. Everything seemed to stop. Time stood still. But here we are at the end of 2020, and time hasn't stood still, even if the world did stop. And that, that's kind of we have a very interesting relationship with time, and you don't want to think about it too much or you'll go crazy. But, time keeps moving. These moments are fleeting. Life is fleeting. And I really want to be able to capture that in this image. And with this Christmas star anchoring my composition, as the sun goes down and the night sky comes up, it just really emphasizes time and motion in time and fleeting moments. And hopefully that story will be enough for me to connect with my audience, and it won't just be a picture to them. So once we've kind of walked through those 2 steps in that conceptualization category, we're going to move on to more logistical, concrete planning. And the first element of that kind of logistical, concrete planning, I wanted to call the sun, moon, and stars. and more broadly, the weather. I called it the sun, moon, and stars because one of those things, the sun, the moon, and the stars, at least one, is going to impact your image. And in my case, I think I might be dealing with more than one and possibly all three. So to kind of help me think through the weather, the sun, the moon, and the stars, these types of elements, I like to use a variety of apps. So I'm just going to walk through those apps on my phone, how I use them, and how they could be helpful in your planning. So the first one I like to use is called Clear Outside. And it's just really a weather app, but I like the breakdown it gives you based on clouds, fog, rain. It's just really useful kind of from a photographic perspective, a little more detailed in what type of clouds you can expect than just a Weather Channel app. So when I look at here, we're still a little bit out from Monday, but I'm gonna start to be able to get an idea of what I can expect. And really with this, hoping to shoot this picture of this star, I'm really hoping for a clear sky. And in some cases, when you look at the weather, you can think, you can plan a shoot for the optimum weather. Today I'm kind of, or for this shoot, I'm kind of constrained to the day that I'm doing it. So I just have to keep my fingers crossed that I'm gonna get something good. But right now you can see in the Clear Outside app, you have this breakdown of low cloud, medium cloud, high cloud. And right now we got a little bit of low cloud, it looks like, which will be right on the horizon, which would be really unfortunate. So I'm hoping that'll break up a little bit, because that star, I'll get to this in another app, but I've done a little bit of prior research and I know that this star is only going to be visible for about an hour after sunset. So I hope that this time, probably around 6 or 7, that clears up really. All right, so one of the other apps I like to use is Skyview. And Skyview is really just kind of an augmented reality night sky app where you can see stars, planets, things like that. And it lets you adjust when you're looking at this. So I can go in here December 21st and I can say what time. We're gonna look at, say 6:30 in the evening, and it pulls up this augmented reality. Obviously you're seeing an augmented reality of my office, so that's not as interesting. Hopefully it'll look better when I'm out there in the field. And I can really pinpoint where this Christmas star is gonna happen. So I've looked at this before and it's gonna occur in the southwest. So if I come over here to southwest and hover over this, I can see it says Saturn and Jupiter. And look at that, they are perfectly aligned. And the concerning part of this for me is that those two planets, this alignment, is fairly near the horizon. And I'm gonna get to that in a minute and why that matters. And the last app that I like to use for my planning is PhotoPills. And I like to do a similar thing in PhotoPills that I just did in Skyview, except I like to do it with the sun and the moon. So PhotoPills can bring up this augmented reality of the sun and the moon and where those are gonna be at certain times of day. So now that I've decided what my image is gonna be, I've decided why I'm taking the image, and I've walked through those 3 apps, I can really start to imagine in my head, okay, what are the problems gonna be? What am I gonna deal with? What is this final outcome gonna look like? And already in my head, I think my biggest struggle is gonna be actually seeing that star. It's gonna occur in the southwest sky, so it's gonna be near where the sun is setting. It's gonna be fairly near sunset, so that's not gonna be that dark on the horizon there. And the other problem is that it's gonna be on the horizon. So I need a clear view. So when I'm shooting local, one thing I like to do is I like to look at actual physical maps. And that's probably a little bit different than most people. It's a little bit old fashioned, but I'm just gonna pull up this map here that I had of Lake Jocassee. And I'm just gonna look at where I was planning to take this picture. So there's this kind of overlook along some forest roads, kind of up near Gorgeous State Park kind of area above Lake Jocassee. And there's a few overlooks along the road. And I'm planning on stopping at one of these overlooks to get this view across to the southwest over Lake Jocassee with the Christmas star on the horizon. One really popular overlook and one well-known one is Jumping Off Rock, which is right here. My concern already that I can see looking at this map is if the star is going to be here in the southwest, the view from jumping off rock is going to be, I'm going to need to be shooting this way. And this little kind of finger poking out here might obstruct the horizon looking this way. You know, I'm fairly confident. Here we're at 1,800 feet. Over here, this peak here is 1,600. So we are higher over here, which is encouraging because we do need to be higher to be able to see that star. But I am concerned about this little finger. So I'm gonna keep that kind of in the back of my mind that although I do want to stop there to take the picture, I might need to come around further on this road and shoot maybe possibly from this finger or somewhere around this corner so I don't have interference on my horizon line. So really being able to picture and look at a physical map is something I really like to do because like I just showed you, seeing that finger might be in my horizon line is something I can't really visualize looking at Google Maps as well. That might just be a little bit old-fashioned. I'm sure some people think, oh yeah, you can just do that in Google Maps or Google Earth, like what are you talking about? But there's something about, for me, looking at a physical map and being able to see the contours and understand three-dimensionally, you know, what is this really gonna look like? And I keep saying that, but as I go through these steps in my planning, the picture in my mind about what this image is going to look like just gets clearer and clearer. And that's really the whole point of planning. So we've completed the conceptualization of our image with our what and our why, and we started on these logistical steps, and we've just thought about the sun, the moon, and the stars. And now we really want to break down, I know I called this category logistics, but this step within this kind of logistical category, I'm going to call logistics. And that is literally, when do we want to be there? How long is it going to take us to get there? What kind of car do I need to be driving to get there? Or am I hiking to get there? Things like that. Not so much related in the actual photo taking, but super crucial in making sure you're there on time and making sure you get there safely, making sure you get home safely. So for me, I know I need to be there to take this shot about an hour or two after sunset. My window, I think, is going to be about an hour after sunset. So knowing that, I probably want to arrive somewhere an hour to an hour and a half before sunset, just so I can set up, find my composition, and not be scrambling when the moment comes. Honestly, I might even get there 2 hours before sunset. This is a, like I said, it's a fleeting moment. It hasn't happened in 800 years. I'm probably gonna wanna get there a little early, make sure I have a composition and I'm not scrambling, I don't miss it. So sunset's gonna be about 4:30, so I'm gonna get there probably somewhere between 2:30 and 3. So knowing that now, I'm gonna take that 2:30, it's about an hour drive from my house, so I need to leave at 1:30. And I'm starting to put this timeline in my head. These logistics are becoming clearer and clearer. So I now know I'm leaving at 1:30, I'm getting there at 2:30, I'm getting ready for my shot. And I know that the path to get there, the road to get there is a little bumpy, it's a little rocky, you know, it's kind of a backcountry forest road. I'm not super worried about it, but my car's 4-wheel drive, which is just a nice peace of mind that I'll be able to get there carefully. And these are all things that I want to consider. I know I won't be hiking that much, so that's not really time that I need to consider or build into my overall timeline. So once we've kind of walked through those logistics, the last step in our logistical category is going to be gear. What do I need to actually take this picture? And what do I need to bring to make sure I don't have any issues or that I have backups to take this picture? So obviously for me, I need a camera. I'll be shooting this on the Sony a7 III. I know it's going to be a fairly low light situation. I think the slightly lower megapixel cameras do a little better with noise reduction in that low light situation. So I think the Sony a7 III is going to be great for this. I don't need to be super wide on this shot, and I'm a little concerned about going too wide because I don't want to kind of diminish that Christmas star into an absolute dust speck in the night sky. So I'm planning on shooting this with my 24-70 G Master 2.8. It's a great lens. It's my favorite lens. It's what I do most of my photography with. So I know what camera I'm using. I know what lens I'm using. I'll make sure I bring spare batteries, spare memory cards. I know I'll need a tripod. It's going to be a fairly long exposure, so I'll just bring my tripod that I always use. I use a Gitzo Traveler. It's fantastic. It's steady. It's light. So that's just a brief look at what gear I need. I'll probably bring a little bit more than that. I do plan on vlogging, taking this photo, so I'll bring video gear as well. But in terms of taking that picture, that's just a brief walkthrough of basically what gear do I need to bring. So that kind of wraps up that logistical category. Sun, moon, and stars, logistics, timing of everything, building out that timeline, and what gear we need. And actually the last category and last step of this framework, planning on location, and more specifically, shoot to edit. And what I mean by that is when you're on location, when you're taking that picture, you need to be thinking about what you're gonna do when you get back home. How are you gonna post-process that image? So if that means capturing multiple images at different focus to be able to focus stack, or maybe that means capturing multiple exposures to be able to expose or blend a really high dynamic range scene. Whatever it might be, you need to be thinking about this while you're shooting, because when you get home, you need to make sure you have all the files you need to create that final image and bring all of this planning together and make it all worth it. So for me, I know that I'm going to be shooting at night, and I'm not too worried about the dynamic range of my scene. However, I am worried about capturing that foreground, and I'll make that call kind of while I'm there if I want to capture the foreground and the night sky in two separate exposures. But there's a chance that I might want to do that. There's a chance that I might want to capture the lake and the mountains in kind of a more blue hour time frame, and then take the night sky separately and bring them together in post-processing. I'm not really sure yet. Again, that's a call that you make when you're there. That's planning on location, making sure you have everything you need to post-process that image when you get home and bring everything together. Well, I hope you found that useful, and I hope that you take that framework to your next landscape photography shoot and your next adventure. I think it'll really help you out in capturing those images that you can kind of picture in your head, but they don't always come to fruition. So I think that'll do it for today's video. If you found this helpful, found that framework useful, consider hitting that like button. And if you're new to the channel and you found this video helpful and you want to see more, consider hitting that subscribe button. And as always, I really do appreciate you all watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.